wonder. I see here, out in the middle of nowhere. And this time, I really mean the middle of nowhere. You can see the sun is just going down right there over the Inyo Mountains. This is the Inyo mountain range, which sort of looms over this crazy flat, arid, super desolate valley called Saline Valley, which is way out in the farthest, I guess, southwestern part of Death Valley. No joke, this is actually one of the most desolate places in the entire lower 48 United States. And I know that's a pretty strong statement, but this valley, I mean, look at it. There's no plants, well, very few plants, just all these crazy geologic formations, all these crazy mountains. And then, well, you might have noticed, off in the distance behind me, there's an outcropping of palm trees, which ought to clue you into the fact that there's some kind of oasis here. And that's why I'm here. There's a hot spring here. That's right, that little outcropping of palm trees there is the tippy top of a beautiful natural oasis. I'm not going to shoot any footage of the oasis itself because the people who come to this hot spring are very protective of it, and I don't want to give away their secret. And well, besides, I've already made a video or two at that hot spring. Anyway, why am I out here at this super duper ultra desolate hot spring? Well, I like hanging out at places like this, but mostly it's because I really needed a break. I just needed to be alone after the craziness of last weekend. Let's take a little walk down into this vast, desolate, arid Saline Valley and enjoy the beauty of this balmy desert spring evening. It's April 20th. It's actually 420 today. Happy 420, y'all. Hope you're enjoying some magic beans. Anyway, I came out here because I was exhausted from last weekend. Last weekend was our volunteer fire department fundraiser. Okay, I made that little video saying, come to our party, and it was a big fundraiser party in my weird little town on the edge of Death Valley where we were trying to raise money for the fire department. It was supposed to be like a desert arts festival. You know, a bunch of different dancers and musicians and artists came out, vendors, they had all kinds of crafts. And I put out the word to everybody to come on down, come take a picture with me. And I didn't think that many people would show up, but imagine my surprise when a bunch of people did show up. Oh my God, it blew me away. So we had all these planning meetings in town. You know, it's a small town. There's only 150 people who live in the town where I live. So we had these planning meetings. You know, what can we do to make this festival a success? You know, raise as much money as we can for the fire department. So my sister and I were assigned to do a photo booth. So we were supposed to set up this booth and with a backdrop and all these costumes. People could come in and put on a costume and take a funny photo, you know, put on some wacky sunglasses, a fake mustache. Ha ha! Well, we didn't even end up needing any of that because so many people who watched this channel showed up. They just wanted to take a picture with me or talk to me, meet me. It blew my mind. I did not expect as many people to show up as they did. I mean, I didn't count, but I would guess at least several hundred people, or at least a few hundred people showed up to meet me. And some of these people had traveled from as far away as New York, Oklahoma, Connecticut, Alaska. I mean, all over the place. And it was kind of a hot day. And they stood in line for upwards of 2 hours just to be able to take a picture with me, talk to me, give me gifts. I got a lot of really cool gifts. And we raised a ton of money for the fire department. I was blown away by the generosity of everybody who attended this event and everyone who donated online. I know a lot of people wanted to come to the event, but it was just too far away. So they made PayPal donations. We raised $20,000 for our local volunteer fire department. Oh, I gotta be careful. I don't want to talk too loud because it's so quiet and peaceful out here. And there's actually a bunch of people camped right over by that oasis. And I would be very embarrassed if they heard me blathering to my camera like I am. Anyway, yeah, we raised $20,000 for the local fire department. And that's a big friggin' deal because our fire department is hard scrabble. Okay, Inyo County, just like those are the Inyo Mountains. In fact, I'm in the same county where I live. I'm just on the other side of it. It's the second biggest county in California. It's huge. San Bernardino is the biggest county in California. Inyo County is the second biggest, but I think it's the least populated. So it doesn't have a very big tax base. There's not a lot of money for these service people to work with. So the fire department is pretty hard scrabble. You know, they have a hard time buying the turnout gear they need and the equipment they need. And they're trying to build a fire station. They don't even have a fire station. That's how hard scrabble they are. So that's why we had this fundraiser. And I was able, with your help, to raise $20,000 to the cause. And it was awesome, man. Everybody in town was so grateful for what happened. And I got a lot of hugs and thanks. And one of the firemen even bought me and my sister dinner. Oh, see, therethere's people camping right over there. I better walk a little bit farther out into the desert so that nobody can hear me bragging about how much money I raised. You know, isn't that gauche to brag about how much money you raised? But I don't know. I mean, I'm proud. I'm proud of me and I'm proud of us. I'm proud of you for being so generous. I mean, I couldn't believe how many people showed up and how generous they were. We had a big tip jar at our photo booth, and that tip jar was stuffed to the brim with 5s, 10s, 20s, even 100s. I mean, people were very generous. So I basically stood, we had kind of like a pop-up shade canopy with a backdrop and all these costumes because we were expecting people to want to take funny photos. Well, they didn't. They just wanted to meet me. And so I stood in this booth all day. I got there at 9 a.m. and I was there until 7 p.m. That's 10 hours. For 10 straight hours, there was a line of people. I said people waited up to 2 hours in the hot sun. It was a hot day just to meet me for 10 hours. I took one break because I had to pee really bad. So I ran to the bathroom real quick, but I didn't want to be rude. I guess people standing in line sweating like 10 hours nonstop. I met so many amazing people. Everybody was so nice and so generous, and the diversity of the crowd blew me away. I'm not going to lie. I sort of had my assumptions of who watches my channel because, you know, on YouTube, you can actually go behind the scenes and look into, Google tells you, you know, who's watching your video, what age are they, where are they from, what race are they. So I kind of had an idea of who I thought watches my videos. But when I saw this line waiting to meet me, I was wrong. That line was super diverse. We had all ages, all races, all orientations, both sexes, or I guess there's more than 2 sexes. Now, I don't know. There was all kinds of people in this line, and it was super, super cool. Or wait, maybe there's still 2 sexes, but there's more than 2 genders. I don't know. I forget. Anyway, another MVP at the event was my sister. Okay, so I'm standing in this booth, taking pictures of people. I must have hugged at least 200 people that day. It was pretty cool. But, you know, I couldn't have done it all myself. My sister was there helping me, and she was so cool. She took pictures with people too. You know, my sister never wants to be in any of my videos. She stays behind the scenes. She's a woman of mystery. Well, she posed for photos with people. She hugged people. She talked to people. She took donations. She just did whatever was needed. My sister really came through. So I consider it a team effort. Between my sister and I, we raised $20,000 for the fire department, and it was a doozy. I mean, at the end of that day, that was last Saturday, I was so wiped out because I've talked about this before. I'm basically an introvert by nature. You know, at heart, I'm an introvert, but I've successfully turned myself with the help of alcohol into being an extrovert. Now I genuinely like talking to people, and standing in a tent for 10 hours talking to people is fun. But at the end of it, well, I want to go back and have my alone time, you know? And so I did. I went home that night and just passed out. I mean, I was exhausted. But then the very next morning, we had this trip planned out here to the middle of nowhere. So I had to get up early and load my car and get, you know, all my jugs of water and all my food and everything I'm going to need, because there are absolutely no services out here. Okay, again, I'm going to do another pan just to remind you of how utterly desolate this valley is. I mean, I don't know how big it is, how many miles long it is, but Well, just to give you an idea, if you guys watch that channel Ghost Town Living, you know, the guy Brett who lives in Cerro Gordo Ghost Town, the guy that bought the ghost town, that ghost town is at the top of those mountains there. He lives way at the top of those mountains. This is like his backyard. And I don't even think he comes down here very often. Like, he did a video once where he hiked down into this valley on this side, and it almost killed him. I mean, this valley is friggin' rugged and friggin' desolate, and there are no convenience stores, no services whatsoever. Just vault toilets and hot spring water. So you got to bring everything you need out here. And I was planning to stay out here. Oh gosh, I was planning to stay out here like 12 days. So I had to load 12 days worth of drinking water and food and, you know, the supplies I was going to need. So even though I was exhausted after that event, I got up early the next morning. My sister and I, we both loaded up our rigs. We got everything packed. A couple friends came with us. We caravanned out here. We came in. This is a long, rough road to get out here. Even though we live, as the crow flies, probably only 100 miles from here. It took 7 hours to get here because the roads are so rough. So we came in through this pass, through those mountains, and we descended down into this valley, and the road was really rough, and the road was really rugged, and the road was really rutted. There were boulders the size of babies' heads, but we finally made it to the hot springs. We set up camp, and then we were just able to relax. I mean, can you think of a more peaceful place to relax than this? Well, yeah, sure, you could go to a beach in Hawaii, but, you know, then there's hotels all around and traffic and people coming trying to sell you snow cones or shave ice or whatever. I don't know. There's a particular peace and desolation in the desert, and this particular hot spring, it's been one of my favorite places for many years, and I've been out here, I think this is my 9th trip out here. And it's just, I guess you could say, one of my happy places. So I thought it would be just the best place to decompress from the intensity of that event. Because, yeah, it was tiring, you know, literally, physically tiring to stand there for 10 hours and talk to people. But it was also emotionally tiring. It was very humbling that, I mean, imagine if you put up a video and said, hey, everybody come visit me. And all these, like, hundreds of people came to visit you and wanted to see you and talk to you. And they wanted to hug you and tell you how much you changed their lives. I mean, it was very humbling. It was very emotional. And so that was draining too. And, oh gosh, I guess I feel like I just needed to get someplace where there's no distractions so I could sort of process the whole thing, if you know what I mean. It was wild. Let me see, I'll walk up to the top of the ridge and maybe we'll get a better view of exactly what's going on in this extraordinarily barren, desolate desert valley. The mysterious Saline Valley. Okay, looking ahead, you can see these dark colored rocks. These are intaglios. People make these weird intaglios. You know, people stay at this hot spring for many days at a time, and you know, you can only soak in the hot water so long. After a while you get bored and you want to come out and make art. Oh look, somebody made a tortoise out of rocks here. Oh my gosh, that is so cute. I've actually never seen that up here. And then over here somebody made this looks like some kind of crazy, I can't tell what it is, geometric pattern. Here's a little sun. Anyway, you get the idea. People come out here and make all this crazy art because, well, you can't soak in the hot springs all day, even though there are some really amazing hot springs here. Like I said, I've made videos here before, but I don't want to put the place on blast because, well, the people who've been coming here for decades in some cases, it's like their peaceful sanctuary, their oasis, and they don't want every idiot on Google coming out here and, you know, camping, making noise, drinking beer, partying. I think part of the reason it stays so quiet is it's relatively well known at this point. I mean, this place is on Google Maps. You can easily find it. But the road to get here is so gnarly that I think that's what keeps people out. Like I said, it took us 7 hours just to go 100 miles. I mean, it's brutal. You have to have a seriously capable vehicle and at least one full-size spare tire. And you got to drive real slow. And, well, you could get into some serious trouble quick if you didn't know what you were doing coming out here. So because of those conditions, I think that's pretty much what keeps this place so desolate. And I know it's kind of backlit, but you can see all those palm trees there. That's one oasis. There's a bunch of hot springs down there. And then 3/4 of the mile up the road, there's some more palm trees, a couple more hot springs up there. And then even farther up, there's another natural hot spring way up there. So there's 3 different sets of pools. There's plenty of places to camp. But despite all of that, there's really not that many people here. I think because the roads are in even worse condition than normal because of all the rain we had this winter. The one road was officially closed and the other one was like real dicey. So there's pretty light crowds here right now. Let's see if this thing, I want to show you guys something and I'm not sure. Somebody was sitting on it when I walked over here. I'm hoping they're gone now and I can show you. Oh, here it is, look. It's an old seat, bench seat from a car, just sitting here in the middle of the desert. You can see down below, it says Saline Valley. And it was basically just placed here so you could take a seat and enjoy the view. And it even swivels. I've heard it called the cockpit of the universe. And I think that's because when you're sitting here, you can really see what feels like the entire universe. You know what I mean? Sitting in this seat really is like sitting in the cockpit of a spaceship, traveling through the farthest reaches of the desert. It's a pretty spectacular place to sit. And then you can see the rock art around it. There's kind of like a circle around the cockpit chair and then these lines radiating out from it. Like this is ground zero. Ground control to Major Tom. Oh, and then I'll show you guys something else real cool. I'll show you one other thing before I end this video. I gotta be real quiet because there's people camped right down there. In fact, I don't even think I'm gonna be able to show you this because it's too quiet and it's too dark anyway. But in those palm trees there, I'll zoom in. There's like this little compound. You can see the light shining there. Well, that's a little compound for the guy who lives out here. That's right, there's a guy who lives out here full time caretaking these hot springs. Can you imagine living? First of all, this valley is like, it's in the middle of Death Valley. It's 1,300 feet elevation, I think. It's hotter than blazes at least half the year. But there's a dude who lives in this compound completely off-grid all year long and kind of looks after the hot springs. He's a super cool guy. I don't think he's much of a people person, and that stands to reason because, you know, who else would want to come live out here in the middle of nowhere and take care of these lonely hot springs? But this guy does. And he's got a really badass compound, totally off-grid, solar panels. He's got a swamp cooler. He's got his own private little hot tub back there. Everything is made out of scavenged, recycled materials. And he lives out here all year round, taking care of these hot springs. I think that's pretty cool. You know, I thought I was hardcore for moving out to the edge of civilization in Death Valley, but I ain't got nothing on this guy. Oh, wow, look, intruders. You probably can't see. I'm going to zoom in, but I almost guarantee you won't be able to see this. There's a headlight. I can see headlights way across by. Oh, you can see it. See that headlight coming in? That's another car coming into the valley the way my sister and I came in last Sunday on that long bumpy dirt road that took us 7 hours to go 100 miles. Somebody else is coming in. Yeah, well, it's Thursday now. I've been out here since Sunday. I've been here for 4 days and it's been super quiet. There haven't been that many people here, but you know, Thursday, tomorrow's Friday, it'll be the weekend. People are starting to come in, so I'm expecting there to be more campers here, and that's fine. I like meeting new people. I've already met a bunch of super cool people here. But that's what I'm doing. I'm just hanging out at this hot spring, decompressing, trying to digest what happened last Saturday. I mean, it was one of the most intense experiences I've ever had. And so if you're watching this video, and if you came to my event, or our town event, and you came to meet me, I just want to say thank you. It was amazing meeting every single person who came out there. You were all wonderful. And even if you weren't able to come to the event, but you donated to the PayPal fund for the fire department, thank you. On behalf of the fire department and on behalf of everybody in town, thank you. That made a huge difference. I think they're going to be able to start building this fire station now because You know, $20,000 isn't enough to build a fire station, but it's enough to get started. And that's thanks to each and every one of you who donated your hard-earned money to our cause. So I guess the whole reason I'm even making this video, blabbering to you on this beautiful desert twilight evening, is just to say thanks. So I'll end this video with one last beautiful pan. There's the cockpit of the universe. I mean, that's the place to sit and have a sunset cocktail. Can you imagine? Here's the Inyo Mountains. There's Cerro. Brett's probably up there right now counting his silver bullion. There's the headlights coming in from that fresh meat coming in from civilization. And here's the beautiful multicolored mountains surrounding this vast and mysterious valley. But it is getting chilly and it is getting kind of dark. So I'd better make my way back down to my camp and put on something warmer and probably think about making myself something to eat. Because hanging out all day naked at a hot spring, talking to interesting people, sure does work up an appetite. Actually, speaking of working up an appetite, I'm going hiking tomorrow to a really interesting place. These Inyo Mountains have all kinds of canyons going up them with all kinds of interesting stuff. So tomorrow, some friends and I are going to hike up one of the canyons and check out some kind of beekeeper's hut, which sounds pretty interesting to me. So stay tuned. I'm probably going to make a video about that, and it'll be coming soon. Oh my gosh, I gotta be quiet. Everybody in this hot spring probably just heard me.